Hi friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And in case you're new here, my name's Fee and I post weekly, well, more like sporadic videos about me and my family's life here in the Netherlands from the United States. And guys, I apologize about the sporadity of my videos. This pregnancy has taken me by an absolute storm. I am nauseous 50% of the time and sleepy the other 50% of the time. So I'm really only able to get these videos out when I have that little burst of energy, which unfortunately isn't often. But anyways, guys, today's video is going to be a little different. It'll be a story time about a horrific situation I experienced here in the Netherlands. So you guys know how we do it here. Go ahead and get comfortable, get yourself your favorite drink, and we'll get right into it. So guys, I want to start off by saying that this experience happened a couple months ago. So I was not visibly pregnant like I am now. And it's taken me a while to talk about it because it was definitely very scary and something that I did not expect to happen. But I feel like I'm ready to talk about it now. So let's get right into the story. And I also want to point out that I've always been very adamant about the fact that Netherlands is a very safe country. And I still feel like it's a very safe country. I feel like this situation that I experienced is an isolated one, and I'm confident, or at least hope, that I won't have any other situations like this happen to me again. Anyways, guys, so I usually take a walk just to exercise at least every other, or if I'm able to, every day. And I usually take it in the afternoon or evening, just depending on the day. Now, I'll usually take this walk at a park because our house is very, very close to a park. It has a trail and it's always just worked perfectly for me. But on this particular day, I'm not sure why, I'm not sure what was going through my mind, but I decided to take a walk just on the sidewalks through the main road. So it's not like I was going to any side roads or to anywhere I wasn't familiar with. I've walked through this main road plenty of times and I felt like I was just gonna take that path on this particular day. Another thing that's important to note is that I generally, most of the time, leave my phone behind when I go on a walk, except for if I want to listen to music, then I'll take it with me. But on most days, I usually feel like it's my time to unplug from all the technology and everything else that may be going on in the world and just have my own me time. So I usually leave my phone at home, and it's also usually very light out when I go, so I'm not going on a walk late in the evening when it's dark or at night. So I went out on this day, and again, I was walking on a main road, didn't think much of it. So I was walking down the path and I noticed that abruptly someone was walking on the opposite direction. It kind of seemed like they had come out of nowhere, but when I kind of looked to the side, it made sense because I think he had just come out of his car. And so he was walking this way towards me and I was walking going this other way. But again, I really didn't pay attention to the man. I didn't pay attention to the car because I figured just, another person walking to their house or whatever the case may be. So as we're about to pass each other, the guy stopped and started speaking to me in Dutch. Now, again, guys, I just recently finished my Dutch course, which I'm more comfortable in speaking and understanding Dutch. But like I said, this was a couple months ago. So as much as I could understand a little bit about what he was saying, I wasn't too sure about what he was saying. So I did say to him that in Dutch, that I only speak a little bit of Dutch if he can say it in English. And at that point in time, he said that he was driving his car and he saw me walking and he wanted to stop because he wanted to talk to me. And I was like, okay, sounds weird, but I really didn't think much of it. And I was like, okay. And he was like, well, I just want to let you know something. And I was like, okay. And this part is a little bit cringeworthy and even feels uncomfortable talking about. And at that point in time, he said, I want to let you know that I think you're really pretty. And I also think you've got really good breasts. And I was like, excuse me? Because when someone says something to you, but in your mind, you're like, wait, he really didn't say that. I'm just making it up in my head. And he repeated it again. And I was like, oh my goodness, this man is out of his mind. So at that point in time, I kind of wanted to start walking away because I was feeling very uncomfortable. And he asked me, do you have a boyfriend? And I said, I'm married, I have a husband. So I turned around and I started walking. So he started walking along with me. I figured that, at that point, that would be his hint to just kind of leave. But that didn't happen. I mean, I'm sure most women on here have experienced, a guy being persistent, but this guy wasn't being persistent. It kind of started feeling more like creepy and not so much persistent. And the fact that I told him that I had a husband and he was still walking along with me was making me feel very, very uncomfortable. So at that point in time, you know, he's still walking with me and I'm not saying anything, and I'm trying to kind of like increase the speed at which I'm walking, because I was thinking, what is he gonna do to me? Like, why isn't this man just letting me go? Won't believe what he said to me. Even after I told him that I had a husband, he asked, would you be interested in going out with me? And I said, no, I'm not interested at all. And so I thought, okay, surely he's going to leave now. He's going to leave me alone and go back to his car or wherever he came from. But he was still walking along with me. I said to him, okay, I'm gonna continue with my walk now, goodbye, because it was getting really uncomfortable and he wasn't letting go. He wasn't getting the hint that I didn't want to talk to him, and he was still walking alongside with me. So I'm kind of like glancing at my surroundings. There's traffic going by, but of course it just so happens to be the day when no one else was walking towards or behind me. It was just me and this guy. It was the afternoon, so I don't know, there was just no one walking at that time. And also the main road along which we're walking at didn't really have any shops, small shops, but I could see that down the road there was like an office building type area that was coming up. So my mind was racing really quick and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this man's probably gonna kidnap me. No one's gonna know where I'm at. I was legitimately freaking out, and I was thinking, should I like wave to people on the road to let them know just like something is going on? So I had started walking quickly and he kind of like slowed down and was behind me. I was looking back, but he was still behind me, and he kept screaming, well, I have one more serious question. I have one more serious question for you. And I'm just not paying attention. I'm still walking. And he's like, I promise, one more serious question, one more serious question. Well, and also I forgot to tell you guys, as we were walking, before he started falling back, he kept telling me that I promise you, I'm a good man. Look at me. I'm wearing an expensive watch. Did you see my car? And I'm thinking, no, I don't care. Like, I've already told you that I'm married. I'm not interested. Leave me alone. So anyways, back to when he had fallen a little bit behind. So he started saying, I have one more serious question. I have one more serious question. And I'm still kind of just like, you know, my pace is, you know, increasing as I try and get away from this man. He's like, I have one more serious question, one more serious question. And then at that point in time, he said whatever the question was, which, to be honest with you guys, it was so inappropriate that I don't even feel comfortable speaking it, because that's just how inappropriate it was. I increased the speed at which I was walking at, because I was like, this man is legitimately crazy. And I now started to feel like my life was really in danger. I was coming upon the office building, and I didn't care that it was an office building. Quickly went into the doors. They had the sliding open doors, and I was just hoping and praying that the doors would open. And as I went in, the sliding door opened and I got in there. So I kind of just stood there and breathed a sigh of relief, because I was so scared, but I still knew I wasn't too confident in whether he was going to be outside waiting or if he had left. So I stood there for a little bit. I was also nervous that maybe someone from the office would walk out and ask me if I worked in that building and kick me out. So I was just so confused on what to do, because I've noticed that in the Netherlands, most of the buildings, unlike the US, where there's always a security guard if it's an office building sitting on the ground floor or just sitting in the entrance, there really isn't too much of that here in the Netherlands. It's definitely more of like the government buildings that have that, but this office building just had the sliding doors. So I kind of just waited there as I was like anxious and, you know, kicking myself in the butt why I did not carry my phone. And, you know, I kept like looking over to see if he was waiting outside, and he was still waiting. He was kind of just standing against a tree, just waiting. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is this man doing? So I had kind of said to myself that the second sliding door to get into this office would not open. I was able to get into the first one, but it looks like the second one you had to press a buzzer in order to get in. I figured that he was waiting for me out there, so he didn't look like he was gonna come towards the office building, but I was waiting for someone to walk out so I could tell them what was happening and maybe help me or get me their phone, so I could just, I didn't know what to do. I was just really nervous. So I was waiting there for 30 minutes. And at that point in time, I noticed that he had walked away, because I kept like peeping over to see if he was still there. He walked away towards what had been the direction of where his car, I believe, was, where we had like the area that we had come from. I walked out of the building really nervous and really scared. My heart was beating so hard, and kind of just took another peek to see if he was there. Like, now that I think about it, it doesn't even seem like it was real, because that's how scary it was. And so I peeked over and he was not out there, and I decided to take another way, not the same way which he had gone to, and take just another way home. And the entire time on my way home, I was so nervous, guys. I kept looking over my shoulder, just making sure this man was not there. I just was nervous that he would pop out of somewhere, or worse off, that he was following me and would know where the house was at. So I kept looking over my shoulder, just really nervous, walking really quickly back home. And I finally made it back home, and at which point in time I called my husband, freaking out, just telling him about what had happened. And he was so upset. You know, he was asking me if I got the man's license plate, which, like I said to you guys before, I was just casually walking. I didn't realize that this man would end up being a creep. So it's not like I looked at his license plate. It's not like I even paid attention to his car. I don't even know what car he came out of. So I didn't really know any of that information. I mean, I do remember what he looked like, but I wasn't sure what to even do with that information. And guys, I want to stress the fact that I still wholeheartedly believe that Netherlands is very safe. Of course, you're going to have your unsavory characters like this man, but outside of that, you know, I've never experienced any other situation like this before. So now I've learned that, you know, when I go for my walks, I take my phone with me, but you can never be too careful regardless of where you're at. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video about my first scary experience here in the Netherlands. If you haven't already, I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. I love you guys, and until next time, doei.